Our first guest this week is in her second season guiding the Notre Dame women's soccer program and her fifth as a collegiate head coach. After earning national acclaim during 8 years serving as an assistant coach at San Diego and Stanford, Theresa Romagnolo took the head coaching job at Dartmouth and proceeded to lead the Big Green to 25 wins in 3 seasons, including a 13-4 record in 2012 that just missed earning the team's first NCAA bid since 2005. Theresa took over the head coaching duties here at Notre Dame last season and led the Irish to a 14-6-2 record, a semifinal appearance in the ACC tournament, and a 3-game run in the NCAA tournament. The Irish finished the regular season this year with a 13-4-1 record, which earned them a number 3 seed in this year's NCAA tournament. We are grateful Coach Romagnolo has been able to carve out some time during her NCAA preparations to visit with Jack and Joe today.
Coach, welcome. Great to have you on the show. Congratulations on the 3 seed. I was actually at the NCAA offices when they were putting it together, and they gave me a little sneak preview, and I was pretty excited to see us on the 3 line and get an opportunity to host. What's your assessment of where we've been placed?
I mean, I think it's a great reward for kind of the work that we've put in over the course of the season. I think, there's no easy road. I think there's so many quality teams out there. I like where we're at. I think, obviously we need to focus on one game at a time, but I like the road that we have ahead of us.
You mentioned, and I know you commented on this after our last games, but not just where we are in terms of the tournament, but coming into it, we're playing some of our best soccer of the year.
Yeah, and I think, we've won the last 5 out of 6 regular season games. We finished with a 3-0 win over Virginia Tech on senior day, and they were number 5 in the country at that point, and that was really a game that we just came out and dominated, right? So I feel that we're really kind of ticking on all cylinders right now. I think we had a nice kind of extra week last week to focus on ourselves, to get a little bit more polished on our attack and our finishing, continue to play a lot, to keep our rhythm going. And I think this week they're just hungry to be able to play somebody else and get after somebody else other than ourselves every day in training.
Now the ACC it's such a tough conference, and it was such a great move for us getting in there. There's 8 members of our conference that are in the tournament. Can you talk a little bit about just conference play and how that's going to really prepare us for what seems to be a tough tournament?
Yeah, the ACC is the best conference in women's soccer right now. So, if you look at the regular season, we had a weekend where we went to Virginia, we came home and played Florida State. Last year, those were the 2 finalists. Then we had another weekend where we went to Carolina, and then we went to Duke, right? 2 top 15 opponents again. So, I think having a regular season where you get to play those type of opponents, day in and day out, you get to measure yourselves, consistently and see where you're at, what you need to improve on, what you're doing well. So I really feel at this point, especially finishing the season with Carolina, Duke, and Virginia Tech, we were really able to see where we were at and gain a lot of confidence from the things that we were able to do against those type of opponents.
In the course of every season, every team sort of develops its own personality. No 2 teams are the same. But when you get to this point, you sort of are who you are. What is the personality of this team? Who are they?
I think one thing that really separates this team is our great defense. I think right now we've allowed 9 goals, which is 5th in the country. And, when people talk about defense, a lot of times they think about, your back 4. For us, it's about team defense, So I think one thing we do a great job of is we apply early pressure on teams. We don't give them time to really get comfortable. Because when you give teams, time on the ball, you give them an opportunity to look good. So one thing we've done a great job of is when we lose the ball, we win the ball back within 1 or 2 passes. So it's really a team effort. The forwards do an incredible job of instantly applying pressure. And then our midfield group is just incredibly athletic, and they're just tenacious. They get their feet on so many balls doubling back. They pick off passes. They win 50-50s. So really by the time it's getting to our back 4, it's very predictable, and they're able to step in front and win it. But really they're not having to do as much in the back because of the work that the front 6 are doing to prevent the ball from even getting, into the dangerous areas in front of our goal. So, I think the thing that separates this team is just how hard they work to win the ball. So then we're able to actually keep it, and the other team's so tired because they've been defending us for such a big part of the game. So I feel that we've been able to then wear teams down over the course of 90 minutes.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up on that because that's exactly my observation when I watched the team. The fitness level is really, really good. what's contributed to that, to be able to play have the front six play as much of the field as they do?
Right. Well, I mean, anytime I think you can have the ball more than the other team, you don't get as tired, right? So I think because,
that's a good observation.
Yeah.
So I think that's why we really emphasize win the ball back quickly so we can have the ball and make them chase us, right? So then, soccer's a game it can be difficult to score in, right? So, at the end of the day, you want to wear down the opponent, so hopefully you're creating more and more chances as the game goes on. So we want them chasing us, expending more energy, and then more gaps start to open up over the course of those 90 minutes where we're going to get more opportunities.
Well, we have some unique talent on this team. We've got obviously some national team players in Carrie and Katie, and really a really strong midfield. So is this something that the way of maintaining possession of the ball, trying to wear a team down, is it something that you grew up in coaching with that kind of mindset, that idea, or was it something you kind of switched over into once you got to Notre Dame, or how did that kind of play out?
No, I've always liked to play that system. I like to make teams uncomfortable when they're on the ball. I think it's a fun style to play because it's so up tempo, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of times you're forcing another team to turn the ball over in their half. Right. So it's a lot easier to attack when you're already in their half and not having to build out of your back every time. So at the end of the day, we're very fortunate at Notre Dame to have, great athletes, great technical players, great tactical players. So we really kind of have the best of everything on the field. So we're able to do, what we're able to do defensively. And I think this year especially, our midfield is more athletic maybe than we have been in the past. So Sandra Hughes, Sabrina Flores, Gloria Williams, Taylor Clawender, Ginny McGowan, when those players have been in there, they work so well together. And just the work that they're putting in for us is just, it's invaluable in terms of turning the ball over and letting us, get a hold of the ball.
Sandra was on the show earlier this year. She's a great story of perseverance and a couple of years where injuries were keeping her from playing, and now, as you say, a major contributor this year.
Yeah, she's been incredible. I mean, she's so fun to watch. She's one of the hardest working players I've watched in terms of, tracking all the way back defensively and then making forward runs, taking players on, slide tackling. We've put her on the front line actually at times when we want to interject more energy on the front line because of her mobility. She's going to sometimes force the other forwards to just run if they're getting stagnant because she's going to run into their space and say, get out of here, right? So she kind of gets the mobility going out there for everybody. She can score goals. She can set people up. At the end of the day, we're actually always harping on her to be more attacking minded in terms of getting her shot off because she's such a selfless player, right, in terms of how she plays. But I think her and Sabrina, just the mobility that those two bring, whether front line or in the midfield, it has kind of really changed, I think, the look of this team. Because last year, Sabrina was playing on the outside of the defense. Right. And Sandra was still coming back from her ACL. So those two going into the center mid, I think, have just really changed the way that we're able to play this year.
We talked a little bit about injuries to Sandra, which was terrible for the beginning of her career here. But it makes that the first thing I think about that is depth. And you mentioned 5-6 names when you talk about our midfield. Yep. Really, I think it's fascinating the world of women's soccer recruiting. And how early you have to start, and we are blessed here at Notre Dame with the ability to get great quality recruits. But how do you start so early and identify prospects? When they're freshmen in high school and you can't even offer them because we don't have transcripts. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a challenge because of where recruiting is with women's soccer. I mean, you have freshmen who have already committed, right? So at the end of the day, we're watching these young kids and trying to project where they're going to be athletically in 4 years and, crossing our fingers that, what we see is going to actually pan out in 4 years. So at the end of the day, we have to do it because otherwise we're going to fall behind the other programs. I think the challenge also with Notre Dame is academically, they have to understand kind of the requirements over the course of those 3 years after they make a verbal commitment, to get it done in the classroom, and then there's the unknown of the SATs, right? So at the end of the day, we're looking for the best students after their freshman year, right? So, and just making sure that they try, they understand that, this is a unique opportunity. It's worth taking the time in the classroom and putting that work in both on the field and in the classroom.
Do you think that'll ever change, by the way? Because, just with sisters that played college soccer, do you think that system will ever change?
The early recruiting system? I mean, it's a tough one, right? Because you could put restrictions on it, but at the end of the day, how do you how do you stop a verbal commitment that's in outer space?
Right.
Right. I mean, someone can make a verbal commitment, just never tell anybody, and it could never get publicized. But that, you can't stop that type of communication, I don't feel, between the coach and the student athlete. There's so many avenues around it.
Yeah,
right.
That's the problem. Trying to figure out. I think there's a general consensus across sports. It's a bad thing, and we can't figure out how to legislate it. So, it's it's problematic. You mentioned the great senior game performance, which brings me to the seniors.
Yeah.
I hope they have a lot of games left here in the tournament, but a great group who's provided so much to the university. Could you spotlight the seniors a little bit for us?
I mean, they're great. I think this has been such an enjoyable group to work with. We've got 6 of them, and they each play, I think, a unique role. I think, Katie and Carrie at the center back position, are returning captains. They're great leaders on that back line. They're just great soccer players, and they're great people off the field, So I think, it's a senior class that's able to really bring everybody together. There's no kind of distinction between the classes, when they're a part of the program. And they want what's best for each other. Glory Williams is a captain this year. She plays in the center mid. She's an incredible soccer player in terms of connecting kind of the lines, up the field. But she's also off the field one of the most selfless, people that you're going to find, and I think having, the other players know that, she would do anything for them just, speaks volumes to what we're able to achieve, right? In terms of doing everything that we can for each other on the field and working for each other and knowing that, we have each other's back in everything that we do.
Well, good luck in the tournament. We're looking for a long run and really excited about how the team is playing right now, and congratulations on all the success, and thanks for being with us.
Thanks. We're excited.
Thank you so much. This was so fun.
We'll be
Good
back
luck.
in a minute.